Here are the top posts from ExplainLikeImFive on the 29th of October 2019.
Gone 3 Lido. ExplainLikeImFive. How can fruits and vegetables withstand several days or even weeks during transportation from different continents? But as soon as they enter our homes, they only last 2 to 3 days?
Big Jack ASR. They are harvested before being fully ripened, then after quarantine they ate put in room that are filled with a gas that ripens the said item. I used to build the ripening rooms.
Rat Redictor. Fruits and vegetables are industrially shipped and stored in protective atmosphere. Specifics depend on the produce, which delays their ripening process. Ledo. They're kept cold. Sometimes they are literally frozen for the travel to the destination and then unfrozen before they're packaged and sent to supermarkets. They're often bagged or otherwise sealed. They're swathed in nitrogen and other gases, which means there's almost no oxygen to attack them. Oxygenation is what destroys a lot of things on the planet, including food, steel, etc., and which either prevent ripening or, in some cases, induce ripening in things that were picked way before they were ready to be ripe. And most food lasts way longer than 2 to 3 days anyway. You're only seeing the end point after already it's been transported. If you picked it fresh, it would likely last an extra couple of days anyway. Stick an apple in a cold sealed Tupperware box and it'll last days longer than if it's just sitting out somewhere. I've had apples last weeks and sometimes into months just by sitting on the bottom drawer of my fridge. That's how people used to survive the winter. After all, apples will last a season and still have edible goodness. Though you might want to mash, stew and preserve stuff to last you out for the end few weeks. Any fruit or veg that has a sealed skin will do the same in the right conditions. Because the air can't get to it. Pears stay unripe, hard, for weeks if you store them right. Same with bread. If you get bread that crusts nicely and seals itself fully, like some Italian breads, they are basically airtight inside and survive the hot weather and for much longer than the open, fluffy, crumbly breads that we're used to in modern supermarkets. Cheese lasts almost forever in the right conditions. Carrots, potatoes, etc. It's all about reduction of surface area, reduction of interaction with the oxygen in the air, and reduction of molds and bacteria by keeping cool. Though for some foods this is positively encouraged, e.g. cheeses, salamis and salted hams, which crust over to form an airtight hard outer shell, which means the stuff inside stays good. Salami and similar meats are often bought with a good mold all over the outside of it.
Chaos Kodiak. Elof. What is happening when you can feel the weather change in your joints or old injured areas?
Andrew DMC. It's a change in barometric pressure. Many fluids in your body, and particularly the synovial fluid in your joints, contain dissolved gases which stay dissolved in your fluids due to a constant air pressure around you. When that air pressure changes, usually the weather does as well, as does the pressure balance in your body. Myth-rat. Old injuries and irritated joints often have some amount of inflammation on a constant basis. The air pressure kinda squeezes them constantly. So your body gets used to this amount of inflammation. Pressure is fine. When a storm front moves in, the air pressure drops like a rock. Without the usual amount of compression, the inflammation gets way worse than usual and that makes it hurt a lot. Bonus fun fact. Cats are pretty good at predicting rain for the same reason. If a cat is washing over the back of his ears a lot, there's probably a pressure front coming in. The cat is trying to get his ears to pop. Source. Born with arthritis. Have a fucked up shoulder. 33 years experience with this shit. Get the same problem flying on airplanes. Cat fact source: lived with cats my whole life. Mum was a vet. DPT-0. The claim that weather and barometric changes cause joint pain is a long-standing and widespread myth. There isn't any conclusive evidence to back it. In fact, there are large-scale studies that don't show a correlation between weather and. My personal belief is that it's primarily due to the mood and mental-related aspects of poor weather. It's a downer when things get really dark, wet, and cold. This changes the way people's brain modulate pain signals, and leads to them experiencing more pain. Source: I'm a physical therapist. Patients always complain when it goes from being nice out to being stormy. But they rarely complain about increased pain when it goes from stormy to being nice out.
Flynn Jaeger 123. ExplainLikeImFive. If tornadoes occur nearly everywhere on Earth, why is it that the U.S. has all the largest and most devastating ones?
Ultimate icon. Topography and location. The U.S. has a large flat area where cold air from the north can battle hot humid air from the south. These conditions create storms, and sometimes potent tornadoes. The Arctic is a stone's throw north of Tornado Alley, whereas the humid warm Gulf of Mexico is just south. As a result, they tend to collide, producing seriously potent storms. Europe and other places don't have this setup. There's no Gulf to provide highly humid and warm fronts in Europe. At least not where cold Arctic fronts will collide with it. Mountains and landforms impede this exchange, which Europe has in abundance. Australia lacks the climate transition, and has strong topography to further restrict the issue.
Peakton 7th grade. Geography of the central U.S. is perfect for creating tornadoes. Warm, moist air comes up from the Gulf of Mexico. Dry, cool air comes west from the Rockies, leading to lots of severe weather where the two air masses meet. And the angle the winds meet at brings in a lot of rotation to the flow, leading to those tornadoes.
Deku Barker. The geography of North America is particularly suited to forming the Monsieur. I don't remember the details, but I think it has something to do with the hot, humid air coming up from the Gulf of Mexico meeting the cold, dry air coming down from the Rocky Mountains, and that being a perfect recipe for swirly storm air. Basically, Tornado Alley is kind of a freak of topography that happens to be just right to spawn tornadoes. Lucky them.
Kurt Cobain's Brains 27. Elif. How come when you look in the mirror and watch your pupils dilate, you do not experience any brightness change in your vision while your iris is adjusting to the light? De Blasio de Blomi. Your pupils dilate not just to let in more light, but also as part of the focusing mechanism. When you look at the mirror, they dilate because you're focusing in close.
Our shark. I don't know the full answer to this, so would refer to someone with more experience or research in this field. However, I believe you would find it mostly comes down to the pupils not being the only thing that affects our vision. As with your camera example, the other factors that affect how bright a photo is are the shutter speed and ISO, where ISO can roughly be equated to the optical nerve. While your pupils may be letting more light in, our eyes are incredibly complicated, and the brain even more so, and they work to adjust to things, but at a relatively slow pace, making it not particularly noticeable to us.
Look up as one. If the iris is meant to work the same as a camera's aperture, wouldn't we notice the light levels changing while they adjust? The mechanism works the same, but a camera has simple electronics and your eyes have a brain that has been shaped by millions of years of evolution. The pupil changes constantly to keep your perception as consistent as it can. You can overwhelm it, like being on a snowy plain in full sunlight. But generally, if it is within the realm of average available light, you will not notice your sight Going darker, like overexposing or underexposing films, your emphasis on "you can do that," but it isn't common. Another example is when you are out in the bright light in snow and walk inside to a nice ski lodge. Your eyes don't adjust as quickly and everything looks super dark for about 1 second.
ExplainLikeImFive. How come that we can feel headache when brain can't feel pain? Antiproton. A headache is not brain pain. It's pain in the meninges, a series of membranes that surround the brain. The meninges contain blood vessels and nerves, and it's these nerves that are the source of headache pain.
Ken Hudson. Because there is more to your head than just your brain.
That's strategist. It's the tissue around your brain that hurts. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.